You know, when you think about the high-stakes world of cloud sales, it's easy to assume the biggest player with the flashiest tech always wins, right? But what if I told you the real secret weapon, the thing that actually seals the deal, has almost nothing to do with the technology itself?
All right, let's take a look at the landscape. I mean, the cloud market is just dominated by absolute titans. You've got Amazon Web Services, AWS, sitting on about 30% of the market. Then there's Microsoft Azure with another 20%. So right there, between just those two, you're looking at half the entire market. They've got the scale, the brand recognition, you name it.
So you see numbers like that and you think, game over, right? How could anyone else even compete? These giants should be unstoppable. But here's the thing. When you get down to the nitty-gritty, deal by deal, the reality is way more complicated and honestly, a whole lot more fascinating.
And that brings us to this central question, this paradox, really. How on earth can these smaller, local cloud providers even stand a chance, let alone win major deals against these behemoths? Well, it all starts with what you're really selling when you sell the cloud.
You've probably heard this a million times. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And yeah, it sounds like a cheesy sales poster, but it's not just a cliche. It's a fundamental truth about how we're wired. And that truth gets dialed up to 11 when you're selling something that's, well, invisible. Something a customer can't see or touch.
And this really gets to the heart of the challenge, doesn't it? If you're buying a car, you can take it for a test drive, you can kick the tires. But how do you kick the tires on the cloud? You can't. What you're really selling is a promise, an intangible promise, that everything is going to work perfectly in the future. And when that's the case, the customer's focus naturally shifts away from the product and right onto the person and the company who's making that promise.
And building that kind of trust, it doesn't happen in a day. Get this, 74% of these big B2B deals take 4 months or even longer to close. Now, you might think that's a problem, but it's not. That long sales cycle is actually a feature, not a bug. It's this incredible window of opportunity where you can go from just being another vendor to becoming someone they genuinely trust as an advisor.
Which brings us to a really crucial idea. When there's no physical product to evaluate, trust itself becomes the most valuable currency in the whole transaction. The confidence a buyer has in you, that gives them an emotional return on investment that can be way more powerful than any spreadsheet calculating features and price.
Okay, so let's put this into practice. Let's see how this psychology actually plays out on the competitive chessboard. Because this is exactly where a smaller, more agile competitor can find their opening and go head-to-head with a global titan. The really great salespeople, they don't just hope this happens by chance. They are super methodical about it. They build relationships on what you could call a triangle of influence. First, they prove they know their stuff. They establish expertise. Second, they build a real, genuine connection so they're liked. And then, the most important part, they earn that trust through consistent, reliable action over and over again.
And this table here breaks down the whole dynamic perfectly. On one side, you have the global guys, the AWSs and Azures of the world. They're selling brand authority and massive economies of scale. A local provider just can't compete on that front. So what do? They pivot. They focus on everything the giants struggle with. Totally personalized solutions, direct access to the real experts, and those close human relationships. But here's the real kicker, the big twist. That massive scale, the global provider's single greatest strength, it's also the source of the customer's deepest fear. It creates this powerful anxiety that they're just going to be a number, a tiny fish in a vast, impersonal ocean. And we're talking about very real, specific fears. Things like vendor lock-in, getting trapped in their technology, or being forced to deal with an impersonal, automated support maze when something goes wrong. And of course, the nightmare of a complex migration or a potential data breach. Now, think about it. These are the exact pain points that a smaller, more nimble company is perfectly positioned to solve. So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? If you're a salesperson for one of those global titans, what do? How do you fight back? How do you neutralize that local advantage and calm those very real fears your customers have?
Well, the answer isn't to just talk louder about your scale or your endless list of features. Nope. The answer is to adopt a totally different mindset. It's about becoming a kind of hybrid that combines the best of both worlds.
And this is the secret sauce, the hybrid sales professional. They act like they work for a small boutique firm. They give you that personal, consultative touch. They're empathetic. But they've got the full power, security, and innovation of a global giant backing them up. That combination is just unbeatable.
This isn't magic, though. This approach is built on a super disciplined, step-by-step process. It's not about one single dazzling presentation. It's about consistently adding real value at every step, from deep discovery and really understanding their business goals, all the way to following through after the sale to make sure they're successful.
And let's get one thing straight. This has almost nothing to do with being a natural-born salesperson or having some kind of crazy charisma. The people who truly succeed at this, the top performers, they aren't just charming. They are incredibly disciplined, they are organized, and they have real professional grit.
So what is this grit? Think of it like a non-technical superpower. It's that drive to never stop learning, especially in an industry that changes by the minute. It's the resilience to take a punch, lose a deal, and get right back up. And crucially, it's the ability to collaborate with your own internal teams to make sure the customer has a totally seamless experience.
All right, so we've looked at the market, the psychology behind the sale, and the strategies to win. If there's one key takeaway, one big idea you should walk away with, what is it?
It's this, right here. Long before a customer ever logs into your cloud platform, they experience you, your personal reliability, your honesty, the way you follow through on your promises. That becomes the first and honestly the most critical proof of concept for the service itself. If you're unreliable, why would they ever believe your service would be any different?
And that really leaves us with one final and I think powerful question to ask yourself. Take a hard look at your own process, at your day-to-day interactions. Are you just trying to close a deal, to complete a transaction? Or is every single thing you do designed to strategically, consistently, and genuinely build trust? Because in this new world, in the human cloud, the answer to that one question, well, it makes all the difference.